Welcome, and thank you for watching. This is Creatives Chat, episode 30, featuring Big Red. Join us as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. Our show will begin now. Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by We Are Storkley, Conscious Brand Apparel. Hello and welcome to another edition of Creatives Chat. Hi, I'm Rusty.
I'm Peter.
And we are simul streaming today, every Thursday at 3:33 on our Facebook page, our group page, and our YouTube channel. Click subscribe to get notified of future episodes. So Peter, tell us, who's on our show today?
Oh, Rusty, I'm excited. It's one of my favorite people in this planet. I've known him all the way since high school as one of my coaches, and he's just got such a big heart and an amazing chef. I'm excited to have on Erasto Big Red Jackson, also known as the owner of Lil Red's Takeout and Catering.
Oh, phenomenal. Can't wait to hear what you guys got to chat about. Everybody, meet Red.
Oh, Red, man, first off, thank you so much for coming on Creatives Chat. How you doing, man?
I'm exhausted, but I'm here. I'm getting old and I don't like it.
Well, I mean, in terms of the business right now, how many years has Lil Red's been in business?
We just celebrated 3 years in September, as officially as the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But as you know, I used to sell out of the back of the station wagon. So, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time.
Well, and that's the inspiration right there. I'm curious, like, what was the motive and drive for you just to kind of pull the trigger and make it official?
Opportunity. You know, the opportunity arose. The building was here. Grandma always said a closed mouth don't get fed. So, I mean, the worst you can do is, ask a question and you're going to get either a yes or no answer.
Oh,
and
man.
Luckily for me, I got a yes.
Right? And for those of you listening that don't know, you took over this place of Mondo's Meat, which is really just like a staplety in the Rainier Valley area.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's got the newest home to, like, literally the word on the street, and everyone knows it, the best barbecue in Seattle.
Well, I'm not an individual that's going to agree or disagree with that. If the people say that, then, I'll let them go with it. But I think we're just good.
We're just good. Well, I think that's the stuff that stands out, is that it's like you have that Jamaican Caribbean barbecue vibe, but it's also got soul food. You got the Cajun influence. Like, what really crafted your flavor menu?
Well, to put it out there, we are a barbecue restaurant, first and foremost. All right. But we also do Jamaican food and we also do soul food. If you have a select menu, people might get bored with that over a period of time. I didn't want just a select barbecue menu. I wanted more of a diverse menu. I wanted people to be able to come in 5 days a week, get something different on the menu each time, and enjoy it, But, I mean, if you're coming in just getting barbecue chicken or barbecue ribs, after a period of time, you're going to get bored with that.
Well, I think that's something that just goes to show just like the ingenuity and creativity of just culinary cuisine and cooking, is that you're cooking along with the seasons, right?
I cook with my heart. I think of something, and I'm like, you know what, I can make that work, and I think people will like it. So, or at least I hope people will like it.
I love that line, cook with my heart. You got to get that on a t-shirt. So
yeah, cook with your heart. I mean, why else would you cook? Cooking is like any other art out there. It's like music. It's like a barber in a barber shop. I mean, you want to create. You want to make people feel good. You want to make them smile. So if you're not cooking from your heart, then why are you cooking?
Yo, what was your influence for that, to really dive in, tap into that creative power?
Cooking? Well, I mean, it wasn't really a creative power. Grandma brought me in the kitchen when I was 10 years old, and she said, I'm going to teach you how to cook so you don't have to rely on anybody to take care of you later on in life. And it just so happens that, once I started doing it, I started enjoying it. So it just went from there.
Ooh, so if you had to say, like, what was one of the first dishes that really stood out to you and been like, I could do this for like ever?
Well, there are some articles back when I was in high school at O'Day, and she somehow the newspaper individuals got a hold of her when they were interviewing me for doing different things about football, and they called and got a hold of her, and she spilled the beans about everything. I'm hoping that article is no longer in circulation, but if it is, she mentioned that my meatloaf was pretty good, and that I could make a gourmet meal out of top ramen.
There you go. That's great, man. Well, what are some?
I had a rough couple of weeks, as you know, with O'Day, all boys school, like going to school with brothers. So that article, I got teased a little bit about that article, but it's all good.
All that love.
Oh yes, all the love.
Well, I guess that's something that's really fascinating for me is that you have been doing this so long, and just like that entrepreneurial spirit of like selling food out of the back, selling the drink, like really putting yourself out there before you got the brick and mortar set up. So when did you actually realize that it's like, this is something that I want to make my livelihood?
Honestly, man, it's something I've always wanted to do. As I said, it was just opportunity.
Yeah.
The opportunity aroused. I've always cooked. I've always not necessarily sold plates at the time, but I've always cooked and fed people.
Mm.
I used to have, as you know, I used to have my own distribution business with Sarah Lee.
Yeah.
And I did that for 16 years. While I was doing that was when I started cooking plates and selling them and doing that. Once that business dissolved, I realized I couldn't go back to working for somebody else since I had my own business for so long. So it was just as I said, the opportunity arose for me to, have my own restaurant, and I jumped on it, mainly one, because it's what I wanted to do, and two, because I couldn't go back to working for somebody.
Yo, I feel that. No, I really do. And it's a different type of freedom when you can, again, like incorporate your passion into your work. And that's something that it's always like real recognizes real in that sense.
It really is, man. It really is. But it's not for everybody, though. It really isn't for
Mm.
everybody. A lot of people think when you have a business, you can just hire people to do the job for you. You actually work a lot harder having your own business than you do a regular 9 to 5. And I mean, a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's incredibly important in terms of surrounding yourself with a team that you can trust and that you
It
really
is.
vibe with.
It is. It really is.
Well, I've never had a bad experience going into the shop, and everyone that I know has never had a bad experience going into the shop. So, like, how'd you build your team?
We got a great crew. You have some bumps in the road, early
Yeah.
on. I mean, once you start, you really don't know how things are going to flow. So you
Mm.
just hire people, and, some people come, some people go, some people stay. The ones that stay are the ones that are able to vibe with you, do the
Mm.
job, and, we still have fun. I mean, we're a family down here. The crew that I have now is awesome. They really are. And I mean, we joke around, we have a good time, we laugh, but we also take care of our customers. So,
Yeah, definitely. And you guys just finished some different work around the store right now, right? You guys just got some more parking and
well, we always had parking, but the parking lot was horrible. I mean, there were potholes everywhere, cracks in the concrete. I mean, the weather right now, there'd be puddles all over the place. So people would have to back in, park, and then they get out into a puddle. So,
mm.
we finally were able to make a little bit of money, and we redid the parking lot, paved it over, put some parking stripes down, even got a little handicap spot. And then I also paved over the area just to the north of the parking lot, where I use
Nice.
for outdoor seating when the weather's decent.
Yo, oh man, once all these lockdowns and restrictions stop, once we get back to it, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Gotta-
I'm hoping we do get back to some kind of normalcy, but I'm not expecting it anytime soon.
Well, that's a great question that I have for you. And I know we touched on it a little bit in terms of just like some of the prices of things back when I was at the restaurant. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm curious, how has the coronavirus really impacted like the food industry and yourself?
I mean, as I can only speak for myself on that, I mean, some of my counterparts that had sit-down restaurants aren't doing as well, so they've had to either adapt or they've shut down. For me, it really never bothered me. I've always been a takeout restaurant.
Exactly.
So the only portion of my business that it hurt was the catering because, once
Mm,
coronavirus hit, is right at the start of wedding season and graduation and everything else. So there
yeah.
was no graduation, so there were no graduation parties. I had some weddings already lined up, and they all canceled and rescheduled. So I mean, that's the only aspect that it really hurt. But on the flip side of that, my delivery business with Uber and Grubhub skyrocketed because nobody was coming out. Everybody was staying home, but they still wanted the food. So it kind of worked out for us.
See, I love it. I mean, it's just being adaptable, and that's how you really kind of dominate the market and make sure that you're going to be there and last. And I think that's always something where if a pandemic doesn't stop you, then nothing can.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, the
True.
pandemic is also put a lot of businesses out of business. So, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of individuals that don't have jobs. So, I mean, if people
Yeah.
aren't working, they're going to be less apt to spend money.
Very
So
true.
that could also hurt the business too. But
Yeah.
as of right now, we're blessed. So I have no complaints about anything.
Oh, and you already know the city's going to keep putting on and supporting you because I think that's one of the things is you really are just a gem in the South End. Like you've brought such a different style and flavor of what people think is like typical soul food, but when you incorporate all the different dishes into it, like it's the variety you spoke on earlier. I think I could go through your menu and pick out like 100, 200 different combinations of plates, and that's always fascinating to me.
Well, like as I said, I wanted to have an extremely diverse menu. I didn't want people to get bored with my menu. I mean, you can come in one day and have some barbecue. You can come in another day and have, some oxtails or some curry goat or something. You can come in another day and get a burrito or some fettuccine. I mean, I have a lot of stuff on my menu, and then now I brought in Chef T. She used to own the Quarters restaurant down in Auburn.
Okay.
So she's bringing in, some items off of the menu that she had from the Quarters, and our menu's even more diverse now. So we have a little something for everybody.
And now I know you're the breakfast game too, so it's
We're
like
doing breakfast, Monday through Friday from 6 to 10. It's real slow right now because people don't know that we have it. But I mean,
mm,
it's a real simple, easy menu, but the food is very good. Everything's made from scratch. We make our biscuits from scratch. Our bacon and sausage I make in house. I make my own sausage. I smoke and make my own bacon. We do egg scrambles. We do our version of a chicken and waffle. It's a jerk fried chicken and plantain waffle. Where
ew.
we actually make the batter from scratch, and I fry up the plantains and actually mash them up
Mm,
into the batter. So I
what?
mean, our breakfast menu is different. It really is, but it's very good.
Ooh, you're gonna have to get that plantain waffle. That sounds so
Yeah,
good.
you'll like the waffle. You'll like the waffle a lot.
Well, and that's the influence right there. Is like, where does like the Jamaican influence come from, and how did you really develop your own style and infusing that with just your foods from the heart?
Well, my wife's Jamaican. The name Lil Reds basically is a combination of both our names. Her name is Lilith. We call her Lil for short, and I'm Red, so it's Lil Red.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
Well, I guess the question is, has she taught you all of her tricks in terms of
She
this?
hasn't taught me anything. I just took the influence and I started doing my own thing. She's taught me nothing. But I will say she is a big part of what we do here. She actually makes a lot of the Jamaican items. She makes the rice and peas. She makes the curry goat and chicken. She makes the oxtails. You know, and then, you know, as far as the chicken and stuff, I do all that. But I mean, anything that has to do with, you know, traditional Jamaican food, she actually does that.
Oh, nice. Well, that's something that I'm curious about in terms of just like all the different baking, like cornbread, biscuits, like who's doing all that stuff? Is that
Mhm.
you?
Yeah, that's me.
There you go. Oh man, I love it. In terms of getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday, like what are some of the services you provide for the people?
Well, during the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we smoke turkeys, hams, and prime ribs here. You know, we offer with our normal menu, we offer a wide variety of sides. Excuse me, that people can, you know, transfer over to the holidays anyway. You know, I mean, we make
Yeah.
the mac and cheese, the garlic mashed potatoes, the greens, the yams. So I
Oh,
mean, a lot of our food is traditional Thanksgiving or holiday food anyway.
yeah.
You know, so we're just incorporating in the fact that we'll smoke a turkey, a ham, or a prime rib for you, and then you know, you can add your sides to it if you like.
And then we did talk about it before, but what's one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight you on Creatives Chat is because I always find it amazing when you have talented creatives that also are all about the community. And I know Thanksgiving you do a little special, so why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Well, this Thanksgiving, this is something that I've always wanted to do. As I said, I brought in Chef Tramel, Chef T from the Quarters, and her and her wife used to have what they did was free Thanksgiving. So every
Mm.
Thanksgiving, they would provide food for the community, and you know they would be closed, but you can come in and get a free plate of food. So when she came here, she asked, you know, if that was something that we could do here. And before she even finished the statement, I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" Because as I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, but for the most part, it's just been me by myself. You know, so
Mm.
it was difficult for me to get everybody else's holiday meals together, along with all the catering and everything else, and then be able to provide for the community. So with her hair and with the crew that I have, we're able to provide, you know, Thanksgiving meals this year. So we're doing free Thanksgiving dinners from 11 to 3 on Thanksgiving Day. Anybody can come down and eat, you know, whether you want to cook, don't want to cook, you're homeless, just looking for a hot meal. We're not turning anyone away. If you're hungry, you come and get a plate.
Oh man, and see that's the stuff that speaks to the heart. That's that O'Day gentleman way.
That's right. That's right.
Well, and I think that's really great to see too, because it's like when you build yourself around with a solid team that you can trust and that you really can work with that's creative as well, you can bounce ideas. It takes your
Exactly.
game to a whole nother level.
It really does. I mean, it's funny. Her and I are pretty much, we call each other's twins. You know, our birthdays are a day apart, so we're both Aquariuses. And I mean, our way of thinking and our thought process as far as cooking and business and everything, I mean, we're on the same wavelength. So, I mean, it really makes it easy
Mm.
to bounce ideas off of her or her bounce ideas off of me. And 9.5 times out of 10, we agree with each other and we roll with it. So,
I
it,
love
it,
it.
it's it really makes it a lot easier when an individual that you're doing business with is on the same wavelength as you. It really does.
Oh yeah. I mean, in terms of communication, just that trust, just like just
Exactly.
even give I think that's one thing about all small business owners is like when you're doing things by yourself for so long, it's giving away some of that power and creative
Exactly.
freedom.
And I'm slowly, very slowly learning how to do that. You know, as I said, I've been doing it for so long that I haven't had to delegate. So I'm slowly learning how to let things go and show others how to do things. So I'm not
Mm.
completely dragging myself through the mud and,
Yeah.
you know, just exhausted 24/7 as always. But it's a slow process, but I'm getting there.
First part's recognizing it though, yo.
It is, you know, it's been brought to my attention. And then, like I said, I have a great staff. They want to do it. You know,
Mm.
they want to learn how to do the individual things. They want to take some of the pressure off of me. You know, they want to help. So, I mean, as I said, it starts with a great staff. It really does.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that's just the one highlight too that just really stands out for me is having that leadership ability just to recognize and acknowledge who's actually there on your wavelength. Because I think everyone has those experiences where sometimes you just have employees that just aren't really there for the passion, but when you can really
Right.
find people that have their heart in it too, and you can create
Right.
that real soul food with the emotion, the passion into it.
Exactly.
That's why you're awesome. That's why I love it. That's why I love it, man. It's so good.
Well, you also have to build that culture too. I mean,
Mm.
it's like football. Your team is going to emulate the coach. So if your coach isn't doing right, your team's not going to do right. So I would hope that I'm putting out the energy that I am to my team in order for them to reciprocate that back to me in the way that they're doing.
Facts. This is why I'm excited to have you on. There's going to be so much wisdom nuggets just sprinkled in throughout this.
You're making me feel old here, Pete.
Bro, I'm feeling old, man. Just had my 30th. I was like, oh gosh, like what?
Oh
Creeping
yeah.
up quick.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It only gets better though. Wink, wink.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is when you can apply yourself and find that avenue to really fulfill your passions that speak to your heart, like life just, like you said it earlier, like it's going to be harder work. You're going to put in more hours, but it's like, but
It
you're
is.
putting it in for
But it's so
yourself.
much more fulfilling. It really is. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I had employees and bills to pay, just watching people eat my food and their reactions, I mean, that's payment enough for me. It really would be.
It's a different type of satisfaction. And I think that's the stuff where it's like the creativity. And one of the things that we like to highlight here in the show is that it's not just limited to, music or dancing or videography. Like it literally is a full spectrum that applies to every avenue and facet of life. And when you can find someone who's like, again, another creative like that, it's
Mhm.
just something that so many truths resonate within your heart that
It
apply
really
right into your work.
Right. I agree. Well, I mean, we all have that artistic passion inside of us. We just got to figure out which direction we want to go.
Right.
Mine just happened to be food. I mean, yours is music and everything else that you do. So, I mean, we all have it in us. We just got to figure out which avenue we're going to take and what's going to make us happy.
And that's something that's actually kind of a deeper lesson, especially nowadays. I feel like with the lockdowns and everything, people have had a little bit more time on their hands to really kind of ask these types of questions like what really makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's awesome that you've created a life that is that fulfillment with your actual direction and I guess you would say livelihood.
Right. But I mean, the old cliche, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. So, I mean, even though I am working my butt off, it doesn't really feel like I am because I love what I do.
Yeah. And that's, again, that's just a beautiful thing that it comes out in the product. And I think it's one of those things that I always say real recognizes real, but like you even just look at the feedback of just fans. Like, I'm not sure if you checked out Instagram and seeing like your hashtags and everything, man, but people like, seriously, it's something that's like everyone knows you in that sense of just like, yo, if you want that, like, if you want a meal that tastes like it's from home, go to Little Reds.
And thing is that, I mean, I haven't checked any of that out. My job is just to feed people, I mean, it's everybody else's job to comment. And I mean, word of mouth is best advertisement. It really is. But it's also extremely humbling because when I got into this, that wasn't something that I was expecting at all. I just wanted to cook and feed people. But I mean, the way that people have embraced me here in the community and how they really appreciate and enjoy what we're doing here, it means a lot. It really does, because I put my all into what I do here. And I just at this moment I just want to say thank you to everybody. I mean, it does an old knuckleheaded kid from 24th and Spruce, a lot of good to know that what he does for his hometown is appreciated.
Facts. Well, I already know the listeners are going to love that response. Well, because it kind of transitions into like, how did Big Red become Big Red? Like, I know you went to Navy, and like, how did that experience and just kind of leaving this area and coming back to it really change your perspective on things?
I mean, it really didn't. You know, this has always been home. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, we choose to, if we choose to go to college, we either stay home or we go away.
Yeah.
You know, one thing my grandmother told me, she's like, go, you know, experience life, go wherever, go do whatever. You know, home will always be here. You know, so no matter where you go, what you do, you can always come back to home. You know, so I mean, I went away to college, and I'll say this: going 3,000 plus miles away from home, you grow up really fast. You know,
True.
so I mean, that was the main thing for me. You know, I mean, it was a nice transition. You know, going from O'Day and the discipline we had at O'Day to the Naval Academy. So it wasn't that difficult for me of a transition as far as the military side, because we already had that discipline in us established over the 4 years that we were at O'Day.
Very
You know,
true.
I made a lot of great friends, a lot of great experiences, but you know, my heart was here at home, so I just came back.
The prodigal son returns.
I don't know about all that, but you know, but
Oh
it's
man.
funny when you walk around town and people ask where you're from, and then you tell them you're from Seattle. They give you that look because they're not used to seeing a true Seattleite. Because most of us, when we leave Seattle, we don't come back.
That's very true. No, that's very true, and it's something that it's again, it's the community appreciation when you can come back to a place and uplift it and help transform it into something better. That there's nothing more beautiful than that in terms of community work.
Well, I'm trying.
Well, let's dive into it real quick. Like in terms of really taking that transition from just kind of like entrepreneurial aspects of business, doing like the side hustles to creating a business, what would be your biggest piece of advice for the listeners, for anyone that's really aspiring to start up their own company, to create their own food business? Like, what you got?
One, put out a product that people will want, first and foremost. Two, don't try to cheat your customers. Take care of your customers, because the minute they feel like they're cheated, they're not coming back. They're not going to tell others about you. I mean, as far as business goes, those are the only two things you really need. Put out a product that somebody wants, and then take care of your people. Everything else will fall into play.
And that's why I love you, man. Because like, how many corporations and companies now don't care about the quality of the food they're giving out? Like, they just see their people as a
A lot of
dollar
corners
sign.
get cut. You know, I mean, when it comes to food, you can taste the quality. You can taste if it's out of a can. You can taste if it's just thrown together. You can taste it. And I mean, if it's not going to taste good, people aren't going to come back. So in the food business, it's most important that you put out a product that people are going to enjoy and that they're going to want to enjoy time and time again. Otherwise, you're going to be out of business really fast.
Well, and speaking of time, I think that's something right there too, where it's like smoking and preparing meats with the different rubs, with the different sauces. Like that's something that takes time. Like you actually have to have that heart and passion for it to come out, or you're just it's gonna get too dry. You're gonna ruin it. It's gonna taste terrible.
Very true. Luckily, I don't have to do that too often anymore. You know, I hired somebody to take care of the getting here at 4 a.m. to get the smokers going and getting the meats. It took a little time to train her, but she's got it down pretty good now. So I mean, the product she's putting out, I co-sign. I had to. You know, I didn't always co-sign in the beginning. There were times where my product was coming out and I'm like, nah, this is not representing me, you know, so I'm not going to serve this. But, you know, she's doing very well now, and it allows me to sleep in an extra hour.
Hey, every hour counts, man.
Every hour counts. It really does.
Well, in just terms of some of your tips for the aspiring, foodies out there, what would be your biggest piece of advice in terms of smoking your meat?
Well, I mean, it all depends on your flavor profile, what type of seasonings you want to use on your meat. I'm not going to give you my seasonings, but
Of course,
you know, but I mean, as far as it all depends on your flavor profile.
Yeah.
As far as smoking the meat itself, you know, you decide what type of wood you want to use for your smoking. or if you have, or if you just want to use charcoal, or if you have a pellet smoker, and just realize that you can't rush the process. Once you put the meat in there, it's going to take time to cook. If you're in a hurry, it's not going to come out right. You know, the smoker is going to do what it does to the meat, and you just have to be patient and let it happen.
So where did you learn and develop your smoking skills?
That right out of the backyard. Like I said, you know, grandma brought me in the kitchen at 10. Every once in a while, we'd have some meat that, you know, a piece of steak or something. I had a little hibachi out in the backyard, and I'd get some wood and some newspaper and start the fire, and I'd grill us up some steaks. You know, and from there, you know, just over the years, it just grew.
See, that's something right there where it's like you've put in the true like 100,000 hours to master it, right?
You have no idea. So many years, so many years. But as I said, it grew into this, and I'm extremely grateful for everything that I've been through as far as the kitchen, and you know, her bringing me into the kitchen, and like I said, being out in the back on the little hibachi and cooking, and everything else that I've been through as far as the food industry has gotten me to this point. So I have no regrets. You know, when I was in high school, I used to work at a hotel. I was a busser at a hotel, and yeah, when I would bring the food in and out, I'd sometimes go into the kitchen, you know, while the chefs are cooking the food, and I'd watch them prepare certain items on the menu, and then I'd go home and practice them myself, but I put my little twist on it. You know, so it's like there's actually a couple of items on my menu that I took from when I was 15 working at the restaurant, and put my little twist on them, and they're on my menu now. So,
yo, that's dope. That's awesome. Well, it's anytime that you can, I mean, that's the true artistic aspect of it is, and not only that, it just goes to show in terms of like the awareness and the ability just to learn through that perceiving, learning through watching something, applying it to your own, throwing your own spin on it, and then making it your own unique creation. It's like that's some realness right there.
It is. I mean, the beauty of cooking is you can just create. You can do whatever. If it doesn't come out right, you throw it out and you try something else. You know, but I mean, it definitely is an art. You know, I mean, you're not everybody's gonna to paint that first picture and it be what they want. You know, I'm pretty sure Picasso threw out a couple of paintings when he first started. You know, in order to create what he created. You know, that's gone down in history. So I mean, a lot of food that I cooked, you know, it was horrible in the beginning. You know, I didn't start out cooking good food. You know, when I first opened the restaurant, the menu that I had and the product that I put out is 180 degrees from what I put out now. I mean, it just took time. The one thing that I can say that I really did is I listened to my customers. You know, I wanted honest feedback from them. How did it taste? How was the texture? What would you do different? Because, I mean, they're the ones that are coming in to eat the food. So if you're not listening to what they're saying, why would they come back? You know, so, I mean, a lot of the product that I put out now is not the same as what I was putting out, you know, 3 years ago.
That adaptability is huge.
Definitely. Definitely.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show, too, that it's that mutual respect for the customer that is lacking in so many places that are unfortunately like not doing so well during all this stuff going on. But that's how you know you have a real good fan base.
Well, as I said, I wasn't expecting fans or anything like that. You know, I just got in this business because I love to cook and I wanted to feed people. But every other bonus that comes with it, you know, I'll take it.
Well, I think that's just the stuff there is that like in terms of like creating a culture, I think that's one thing that we can both relate to of the O'Day experience. And it's that aspect where it's like you're building a culture of Little Reds. Like you go down there, you got the arcade set up, you had like just the smells. It just smells like you're in a grandma's kitchen. Like that's my vibe at least.
You know, and that's what I was going for.
It brings you back. It's that nostalgia. And it's just like, oh yeah, this timeless.
Well, I wanted an atmosphere here at the restaurant. You know, when I opened this, I wanted to be that little hole in the wall that only the locals knew about. You know, kind of that little speakeasy where, you know, somebody comes, yeah, a friend or a family member comes into town. It's like, I'm hungry. You know of any place to get some good food? And you do that look over your shoulder real quick, like see if anybody's looking or listening to you. He's like, yeah, I got a spot. Come on, let's go. You know,
Love
but
it.
I mean, once you get here, I wanted the atmosphere. I wanted the vibe that people feel comfortable, just, you know, pre-corona, of course, but that would come in and, you know, you sit down, you eat your food, you hang out with your friends, you listen to the music, you have a business meeting, and you just feel comfortable being here, and you're not just eating your food, getting up and leaving.
Yeah. So true. So true. It's such a different experience, and that's what does create something that's you want to come back to and experience more and time again. When you have that consistency, like again, I know you talked about in terms of providing like that high quality and listening to the customers and their feedback, but just having a consistent process that just always is putting out good, solid food.
And I mean, that's what you need to do to be in business. You know, you can't have it one way one week and then another way another week and expect people to come back.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see just because I mean you talk about it early where it's it's a process, it's that evolution, it's that growth. Like it wasn't always amazing at the first time. You had to develop it. Like, and I guess my big question for you is that fear of failure. It's like, especially for running your own business, what was your motive and drive to really overcome that?
First of all, if you think you're going to fail, then you're going to fail.
Facts.
I never thought I was going to fail. You know, there is no fear of failure. I was like, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going to do it.
And that's something that most people just don't get. Like they think it's like, because that's my type of answer.
It's like if you go into something thinking, what if it doesn't work? Then you're not putting your all into it to make it work.
Yes.
So there was never a thought in my mind that this wasn't going to be successful.
And you hear that, listeners?
Yeah, I just didn't know that it was going to be, as it is now. But there was never a doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to be successful at doing this.
And that's the type of grace and attitude and really just again like just approach to everything that I feel like is so lacking nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Is so many people fear failure and messing up, but it's like, but when you really commit to something, like you said, when you put yourself and take on that opportunity, you never know, like, well, the worst case scenario, there's going to say no, like it's not going to be a soul crushing thing, but then how many times is it a yes? It's like 99 point crate, like it's wild.
Exactly. I mean, all you got to do is just take that step. It's like, get that fear out of you and just go for it. I mean, the only failure in my eyes is if you don't try.
I feel that. Well, it's living in regret. Like how many people like
exactly.
That's one of the things that I know with my work is that, I've worked with people that are like post-retirement and they just don't know what they want to do with their lives because they never did anything that really like fulfilled it. And it's like half a century and you don't know what you're doing. Like, I mean, I don't want to I'm not judging anyone, but I'm saying in terms of like, we can ask ourselves these questions early on in our lives. And like, if we put ourselves in the position, we can create our own future.
True. Very true. But also people get into a lifestyle or things happen in their lives where they just become providers and they set aside their dreams and aspirations to take care of, their responsibilities. So, I mean, like you said, you don't want to judge people on that, but I understand where you're coming from also.
Facts.
But, once they get to that retirement, they're not thinking about, what they wanted to do 20, 30 years ago. They put that out of their head a long time ago. So it's like, okay, what do I do now type of thing. And then they just got to go figure out what they want to do or find what they want to do. And, like I said, just figure it out. Hopefully that time away from their business or their profession, they can, tap back into that creative side of their brain and say, I've always wanted to do this. Let's go do this. But a lot of people can't do that because they're so accustomed and they're used to the lifestyle that they've had in the past that that's all they know.
And that's a great point right there. Is it becomes that cycle. So, in terms of society, I think there's a lot of people that are stuck in this kind of negative loop. Low self-esteem. Oh, I'm not creative.
Mhm.
I'm not this. It's like how do we as leaders really help facilitate their growth and help them wake up to the fact that it's like your life is whatever you want.
Well, I mean, as an individual, I'm just speaking for me.
Always,
What
always.
I see with other individuals is self-doubt. There really
Mm,
isn't a lot you can do with that because it's called self-doubt. You have to believe in yourself. You really do.
yep.
I'm going to be there to try to help build you up. But if you don't want to believe in yourself, then how am I going to make you believe in something else? So I mean, it starts with, building young people up from the beginning, telling them that they
Yeah.
are somebody, that they can do something, make them believe at a young age. That way, as they get older, they already have it in them to like, you know what, I can do this.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have a lot of young people out there that are told that they're no good, that they can't do it, or, that they're just so much negativity in their life that they don't believe in themselves. So once they get older, how are they going to accomplish anything when they don't believe that they can do it?
And that right there is that ripple effect that we don't acknowledge enough early on in education, where it's like you put kids in like a category. Oh, you have to be good at English. You just have to be good at reading or
Right.
math or science or whatever it is. And you don't even get to like find your talents. Like you were talking about, like you have to really find what really speaks to your heart to
Exactly.
express something.
Exactly. I mean, put all the options on the table. You know, whichever one that I choose is because I really like this and I know that this is something that in the future I'm going to be good at.
Yeah.
But don't tell me I can't do it and don't give me the opportunity not to try.
Oh, and that's the stuff that I think is the real big Achilles heel of culture nowadays is there's that fear of failure that they don't even want to try.
Right.
And when you
Right.
have, again, like with self-doubt and that low self-worth and just kind of this delusion where you have to do this to be successful, people are playing to so many other people's tunes and they're not dancing to their own beat.
Well, I know in the restaurant business, people say the restaurant business is one of the most volatile businesses out there.
Mm,
When I was getting ready to open the restaurant and everything, I had individuals saying, why are you doing that? Restaurants don't last a year. Why are you wasting your time? And I'm like, well, first of all, this is my dream and my vision. It's not yours. So I don't expect you to understand why I'm doing it, nor do I expect you to see my vision or what
mm,
I'm trying to accomplish. You have your own dream. If you have
yeah.
your own dream, I would hope that you would do everything in your power to make that dream come true. This was my dream. I've done everything in my power to make my dream come true, and here I am. So I didn't expect other people to see what I was trying to do because it's not for them to see.
Oh, I love it. No, man, you're going to have a whole new line of t-shirts after this.
No, just a little red takeout and catering. That's good enough.
But it's just like that's such another level of recognition and realness that I always appreciate, because that's one of the biggest things of self-doubt is listening to other people's judgments and assumptions and their own,
Got to tune it out. You
yeah,
can't listen to them.
the
They're
haters, so to say.
well, I mean, it's not that they're haters. It's just not their vision for themselves.
Right.
So if they don't see themselves doing it, why would they see you doing it?
I never really understood that type of projection. We're just like, yo, I'm me, you're you,
Yeah,
like they're completely
exactly.
different people. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Exactly. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing with a lot of young people, there's a lot of followers out there.
Hmm.
You know, there's individuals that, their friend will do something and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do what they do, rather than, well, there's the path, there's a left turns and there's right turns. If your friend's going straight, you can venture off to the left and do your own thing. You don't have to follow them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately there's a lot of that going on. And the individuals leading their friends, they're the ones that are doing well. Their friends aren't doing well because they're following them into something that really isn't in them. You know, so people need to realize it's like, yeah, just because my friend's doing this or somebody else in my family's doing this doesn't mean that something I have to do, because I want to do what I want to do.
And see, this is why I like to, highlight people of the community, because, I mean, obviously, like Rona aside, you're making a place in an establishment that brings people together.
Mm.
I'm sure you see all different types of people come through your doors.
Oh yeah, we have a wide variety of individuals, and y'all know my personality. I can be a jerk sometimes, I can be a nice guy, but I treat everybody the same. Everybody gets the same treatment from me. As I said, put out a product that people are going to want and take care of your customers. You do those two things, you'll be successful in any business.
True. And I think it always just goes, it's a testament of just being able to actually evaluate yourself honestly. I think that's something too that a lot of people they like, you talk about like tough love aspect. It's like so many people are so soft and easily triggered and sensitive. It's like you can't take constructive criticism, you can't take feedback, and if you can't do that, like you're limiting your growth.
You really are. You really are. But I was also raised in a different era of time where mentally we were a lot tougher. So I have to remember that, the 70s and the 80s are not the 2020s, so every once in a while I got to tone down who I am, but as I said, I'm still going to be me.
I like that. Well, I guess what would be your one nugget of wisdom for anyone that's really trying to discover who they are? Because we touched upon it a little bit.
I mean, that's something that like that, you just got to look at yourself in the mirror, look to see who you are as a person, see what you look like. And then once you see what you look like, think about who you are, think about who you want to be. And if who you want to be isn't what you see in the mirror, then make the change.
Bam! It's seriously as simple as that. Like if you
really, I mean, it really is not difficult. It really isn't, but as you said, people put these roadblocks in their head and it's like, no, you don't have to. Just do it.
Oh yeah. I love it. That's cake. No, it's because it's something that I feel like is so overlooked, and it's someone making a mountain out of a molehill. They think it's some arduous journey. It's like you just have to do what it takes every day. Like that's the stuff is like, don't expect these types of drastic results immediately. You just have to put in the work every day.
It's not going to happen. And that's another thing. A lot of people want instant gratification. It's not going to happen like that. It takes time. It really does. I put in 8 years of side hustling before I was given the opportunity to open my own restaurant. It takes time. It's just not going to happen overnight. And for those that it does happen overnight like that, consider yourself extremely lucky.
Really?
Extremely.
Facts. No, I mean, that's something right there too, though, is that you had the previous years of side hustle, and then putting yourself in that position I see it as always created that opportunity. Got you that first person in line to get selected or be like, oh yeah, I want you to do it. I want you to take this store.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, no, that's excellent. That's a lot of great wisdom that's been shared in this discourse, and I think it's to me it's really fascinating just because it doesn't matter what generation you're from, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. Anyone that's gone through that personal change and personal development recognizes those common threads of success, and that's what I love having these conversations with people. It's like, oh yeah, that's a real one because they've walked the walk, like.
So let me ask you this question. What made you decide to do this platform?
Ooh, that might be a dual question. Well, it's funny because it's, how you say, like we talked about numerous times now, where it's, you kind of want something and the opportunity just kind of happens. For me, with this kind of lockdown, I really started to, I've always wanted to have like a show or be a part of a show and this type of
Okay.
thing where it's like I talk about, in truth, really like spirituality, like, but in a low key way, something that's less abrasive, where it's more digestible for people. And the moment I was meditating on it, and the moment I really like set in my heart, I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Right.
Ring a ding ding, meet Rusty. Like, and it was just one of those things where it was like within a week of that initial, like, yeah, I really want that, and started to search for it and like develop, like, well, what do I really want to make it about? I met Rusty, you know, but the only reason I met him is because I actually was a part of another show that he's producing on. And I just went out on a limb and did some music and poetry. And then through that, it was like him, sponsor, they were like, hey, you know, like, you got it, let's do it. And I was like, hey, okay. But like, you know, again, it's like, it comes back to that point where it's like, did I have a lot of music ready with like when I did that stuff? No. Did I have like, I had a lot of poetry in my writings, still developing my sound, but I was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Exactly. You saw the opportunity came, you wanted it, then you did it.
Exactly.
I mean, it really is that easy. It really is that easy.
Well, again, it's like how much, like 99% of what people come up with in their head never manifest in reality. But they use that imagination, and they use like the one tiny example of some pain or hiccup in life to cripple their future of opportunity and potential. And it's so heartbreaking to me, because it's like, because that's what I work with a lot of people who deal with like regret and are like learning to heal from their pains and things like that in the professional side. And there's so many people that have lived like the majority of their life in regret, just asking themselves the what if all the time and not actually just doing it.
As I said earlier, the only failure is to not try.
Truth. What's good, Rusty?
Well, I heard my name 3 times, so if you say my name 3 times, I will appear. I have to say, though, I have been very, very impressed with your your outlook on life. You know, overall, everything you've said, I agree with. Like, and you've kept it so simple and uncomplicated. Like,
See, I
look in the
mean,
mirror. If you're not happy with what you see, change it. Like,
change
what?
it. I think we as a people, we put all these obstacles up, and it's like, well, why are you putting that obstacle up? If you get rid of that, the finish line is right there. You don't have to go this way to go around it. You can move that out of the way and just keep going straight.
I love it. Well, I love, like, I used to always watch like martial arts movies as a kid. Like, I love Bruce Lee, all those classics, like Bloodsport, everything. And for me, like, I've always seen like Red, like, this is to Rusty, I've always seen Red as kind of like that just like wise sage that's just like big as like big as fuck, that's just like everyone thinks is some harsh person, but he's just like such a gentle lotus, like that'll still do some serious damage, obviously, but it's one of those people that's like just teaches you all that little wisdom nuggets, just like the things that you need to hear in that moment. And like, I think that's why I always know that, you know, life rewards that type of courage and just genuine nature, that as long as you keep pushing, you're going to get to the goal. And that's the stuff that I always really appreciated and respected, in the sense where it's like, you're always real. And I think it's, you said tough love, but it's like, nah, I appreciate that. It's called being direct.
And thank you. And I appreciate that. And like I said, it's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. This is what it is. And it's like, you know, you can either take what I say and put it towards something in your life, or you can dismiss it and keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, my thing is, I'm not going to lead, when I say tell you something, I'm not trying to lead you the wrong way. You know, you may not like everything that I'm saying to you. You know, you might disagree with it, but I'm not trying to hurt you or lead you in the wrong way at all. You know, I only want to see the best for you and in you.
Yeah. It's all coming from love. And I think that's something
It really is.
But that's the, you know, that's the aspect that love comes in many forms. And the stuff that people really want all the time is they want the good love. They want, tell me what I want to hear.
No.
It's like, no, that's not what you need.
That's not what I'm going to give you. I'm not going to, you know, I might tell you that if you deserve it, and if it's, you know, factual, and, you know, if it will continue to help you. But no, I mean, you're going to get what what I see, and you may not like what I'm going to tell you, but I mean, just know that it's coming from a place that wants to see you grow and get better.
Oh yeah, I think that's there's nothing more important than that nowadays.
I think that's what's lacking nowadays.
It definitely, and that was my point earlier when I said, don't dismiss somebody. Get to know them. Get to know what their thought process is. Get to know their experiences. And then the two of you can come together. But don't just push somebody away because what they went through isn't what you went through.
Isn't that wild though? You look at how things are nowadays, everything's so polarized and tribal. And I think that's the worst part about it. It's just like because they're holding so tightly to their ideologies and their preferred verbiage that they don't even want to have that conversation of like, well, what do you think? What's your perspective on it? Like you're now vilified, you're now like ostracized, and it's become such a warring culture that it's like, dude, why? Like, does anyone stop and really question, like, why are we doing that?
Right.
Why am I doing that? Why are they doing that? You know what I mean? Like, it's that self-reflection, or as you said, like looking in the mirror, that it's like, yo, that right there is the most pivotal aspect of life. Just question things. Look at yourself. And the most important person and thing to question is yourself, obviously.
Exactly. Because how can you be real and true with somebody else if you're not real and true with yourself?
Facts.
Yes, and I'm going to kind of wrap us up and say that it really is about who we are being determines what experience of life we are having.
Yeah.
So how we're being determines what we're having. And if you take be and you take have and you put them together, you got behave. So it's how we behave that determines how we are, what we are being and what we're having in life. So it really is our behavior. And so how we treat others is how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
Is kind of how it's.
I like that.
The golden rule, isn't it? Treat others as you want yourself treated. And so I can't wait to go to Little Red's and treat myself.
Well, I'm going to tell you like I tell everybody else. When you come in, it's a cheat day. Don't come in counting calories. Don't come in talking about, I'm on keto or I'm on this or that. No, it's a cheat day. You come in and you enjoy it.
You got a fan. And I got to say, again, Peter mentioned this, but I'm going to say it from our community to yours. Thank you for feeding people on Thanksgiving. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to.
It's a lot easier said than done, and I know there's a lot of time and there's a lot of prep work, and I also get you're going to get paid in hugs and smiles. But
I love it.
But what you're doing is something that is not much. I say not many community members are in the position to be able to do. And the fact that you're in the position and you're able to do it, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again for being on Creatives Chat, and everybody have a happy always.
Oh, yeah.
That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Daily Time as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible.
Thanks for joining us.